Okay, welcome everyone. I hope you're not too tired with the long day that we had today, but I'll try to be as kind, well, not too much information for this afternoon. So today we're going to go through the Stories Matter software. And you have the first page. Whenever you click on the logo on your computer, this is where you arrive. Okay, so the software Stories Matter was created at Concordia University at the Center for Oral History and Digital Storytelling. We talked about the Montreal Life Stories project that took place from 2005 to 2012 this morning. So I'll not go back into the details of the project, but this is one of the things that came out also from this amazing project. So Stories Matter, an open source software that you can download on your computer. We'll give you the link at the end of this presentation. So to start, so we'll walk you through the different layers, different levels that exist in this software. So first of all, there are two modes in Stories Matter. There's an online mode and there's the offline mode. So right now we're going to start with the offline. That means basically it's what you have on this computer, and it's when you work with your own interviews, your own project, and you're working alone on it. So manage personal or private interview collection. And the online mode is when you're working with other people on the same project. So then you have a place where you can all merge and collaborate on this same project. Let's say I'm working on some interviews. Once I'm done working on them, I upload it on a server, but in order to do that, you need a server. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But first, we're going to say on the offline mode. So you don't need to enter no user, no password for now. I'll give it to you later on. Okay. So the offline mode. So Stories Matter has a layered structure which allows the user to engage with the database. So the first layer is the project layer. Okay. The project layer, so basically it's the first step. Huh? So you just give the name, a name to your project. So this is the first step. And then there's the interviewee layer. So it's the different interviews that you have in that same project. So under interviewee level, you have the session level. For the Life Stories project, for example, our session levels are where the different times, different days we went to the interviewee to conduct different sessions. And then you have the clip level, which is another layer, the last one, and it's basically working inside each session. So it's really a pyramidal, but inversed. So basically, what does it allow to do? Interviews can be tagged at the interviewee level, session, and clip level. And you can enter index terms, tag cloud, word search tool. So basically, as the deeper you get into the interview, and the more information you can enter. So that makes it even easier to search afterwards, using a tag term, etc. Okay, so the first image that we have is what you have on your computers. So if you see, so if you want to create a new project, you have an icon at the bottom that says New Project. This is basically where you give it a name. In our case, it was the Montreal Life Stories project. So you can go ahead, actually, and enter a test project for now. You click on New Project, you give it a name. So I'll do it with you. So I can say Project 1, for example. A short description of the project. So Life Stories, conducted oral history project in Haiti, for example. and then a longer one. So we'll see the difference between the short and the long one. The short description, it's going to appear on the starting page of Stories Matter. So you'll see it right away. So when you click on the logo, you'll have the short description that will appear. So it's going to stay there. The longer description will appear on the right-hand side of the project lists. So also, and you can also upload a project image. So if there's an image that symbolizes or logo of the project, this is where you upload it as well. So this is basically the first step when you enter into the short description. This is a long description. So I don't have a picture right now, and then you can save the project. And this is what you have. You should have on the left side project 1, so the name of your project. In the middle, you have the short description. And when you click on the short description, here, you have the longer description on your right side. So you have the different layers, even visually, you can see it. If you wanted to create 2 projects, let's say, you're ambitious, you're working on 2 projects at the same time, this is where you create a new project at the bottom. You can edit it. Let's say you want to change and add more information. You can always go back. It's not a one-time thing. If you want to delete it because, well, you're not using it, you're done. Or you can also duplicate it. So you have different options just at the project level. Okay, so once this is the first step, project level, then we have to enter interviews into that project. So this is when you get to the second layer, the interviewee layer. So to create a new interviewee, you have to do the exact same step: interviewee name, interviewee description, and an interviewee image. If you have a photo of the person, this is where you upload it. So we'll do it together. So I'll double click on project. So once I double click on project 1, this is where they tell me, okay, so enter your interviewees into the project. So this is where I go and I click new interviewee. And you see that already project 1 it's entered on the scroll, on the list. So this is where I enter my interviewee's name, interviewee 1. This is the interviewee 1 description. So if I had a little image, this is where I would browse it and then take it. And then I save interviewee. So I should get something like this. So you see that on the left side, you have project, and then under it, with the mic logo, this is where you have your interviewee number 1. So this interview's description appears right away. And on the right side, you still have that long description that we entered in the beginning of the project. So you always have everything visually, well organized. Okay, so we're done with the new interviewee. Interviewee level spaces. So at the interviewee level, you have a session browser and a space where you can enter the biographical information of that interviewee. So we have an example here. This is an interviewee from the performance working group, Janet Lamb. So you can enter your own, a summary of the biographical information that is relevant to you. And this is, you have a space to do that. So let's see where we do that. So if I double click on interviewee 1, then this is where I can enter my information. So here, this is a place I could, this is the interviewee number 1 biographical information. You also have another space if you need to. Interviewee notes. If on top of the biographical information there are other notes that you think are relevant and you would like to write them down, you have a space to do that. These are the interviewee number 1 notes. So you also have another space, a summary. So for the Montreal Life Stories project, we had summaries that we wrote for each interview. So this is a place where you can copy paste what you have written already, or you can write it. It's not biographical information, and it's not notes, but you have many. You don't need to fill out all the spaces. But if you need to, this is a place where you can do it. Yes?
Sam, did participants write their own bios? Or did it to be the interviewer who wrote the bio?
The interviewer, yes, writes bios of the interviewee.
Did you ever think of giving the interviewee
the chance to write their own?
One-paragraph bio.
We actually got into trouble on that one. We started getting fancy and putting the bio on the DVD when we sent it back. And we got one person's first place wrong. And so that's a great example where if we had done that collaboratively, right, that probably would never have arrived, right? It was more a question of just, time. But I think one person, like most people who use Stories Matter are mostly one-person projects, right? And so it's the interviewer, it's your space of interpretation, right, and space of collaboration.
Yes.
So this saves to your computer?
Yes, actually, if you install it, let's say on your laptop, it's all saved there. Yeah. As soon as you open the software, you can enter everything, and it's saved automatically.
And then if you were to use an online version, is that saved on the server?
Yes, actually, yeah, we'll get back to that in detail. Yeah, but yeah, it's all saved. Yes. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I forget I have it. Okay, I'll take it slow. Okay, so you have a space for the summary, comma separated tags. We're talking about the tag clouds and all the keywords that you'd like to eventually research or use for analyze. So this is where you can enter, So if you have comma separated tags about the interviewee, you can enter them there, but then you can also enter it in the session and in the clip. So we'll repeat that over and over. Reflection. So this is another space also where you can add information. Your reflection for the Life Stories project, again, we had to write a blog right after each session, when it's still fresh in our heads. And this is a place where you can write your little blog, what happened during the interview, what went well, what didn't go so well, and how, So it's really a space where you can add so many information. Meta-narrative, we talked about it this morning as well, gesture and, And you can also create a new space. So if if the reflection, the meta-narrative is not enough, you can create another space and name it. I don't know. Let's say here. So if I click on create space, you have space type. You can add, you can custom, and you can save it. So yeah, really you can adapt it to your own needs and make it as complete. You can delete a space as well. So yes, pretty much what we said. Interview level space at the bottom of the window, space for the interview summary, a space to include comma separated tags, index terms that would be searchable through Stories Matter. We'll go through the search option also. And the tag cloud. Also the tag cloud was an important aspect. because the more you use a word, the bigger it becomes. So it really gives you an idea, okay, what comes out of this interview, what comes out of the session, and to really you have an idea of the themes. So reflection, meta-narratives, etc. So create a new session. So now we are done with the interviewee. We have all the information about the interviewee. Now we're going deeper with the third level, the session. So how do we create a new session? So since I had double-clicked on interviewee already, so I'm already in this interface. At the bottom again, so it's always the same logic. You have a new session button. You just click on the new session, and this is where again you enter all your information. Interviewee 1 from project 1. So they always give you the folder, the level above. Session name. So let's say session 1 of interviewee 1. This is the description of session 1. And this is where you browse your media. Whether it's audio, whether it's video, this is where you get it. This is where the technical aspects starts. So since we don't have any media here on this computer right now, what we're going to do, we will go online because we have a training workshop like interview there. So what you will do, and then you can see a real interview happening. We're just going to cancel for now, and then we're going to click at the right top button, login. Login. Then user African, password Diaspora. And you have the server. So this is the Concordia server. So we can use this for this workshop. And then you can have an idea also of what is the online, offline, the difference. So storytelling.concordia.ca/database.
Do we log in as a guest?
No, just log in. Yeah. And you should have a welcoming. So for this training, we just gave you access to 2 projects. One of them being the Life Stories project, but the Rwandan working group, because I was mainly involved in this working group. And the second one is an interview that we use for training workshops, and it's with one of our interviewees from the Holocaust working group, Liselott Avery. And yes, so this will help us see, okay, at least you'll have an interview. Okay, so if I click, so again, in the project section, you have 2 projects. These are the 2 projects we have. And you can see them here with the description, a shorter description, and the longer description is on the right side. So if I click on Stories Matter Training Workshop, if I double click, I get to the interviewee level. So this is Liselott Avery. And you have a description. Liselott Avery is an elderly Jewish woman from Bohemia in the Czech Republic. In this session, so we have a description of what happens in this session. So we already had the tag clouds, but we'll get to that. If I wanted to create a new interviewee, so on top of Liselott have another one, I would add new interviewee here. But for now, we're just going to focus on Liselott and see and go through the different layers. So I'm going to double click on Liselott Avery's interview. And I have Liselott Avery session 1. So we were in the sessions before. So in this session, Lizlet narrates her life story, beginning with her childhood in a small village, etc. So we have our description. If we wanted to have another session with Lizlet, we would create a new session at the bottom, and then it's just going to appear there. But when I click on the session, this is where I have my media. So we already uploaded it. So we double click on the project, and then the interviewee, the session, and then we get to this. So we're just going to listen to the first, let's say, 15 seconds.
So I guess we'll, where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the beginning or when you came to Canada?
Whatever you want me to do.
How about if we start at the beginning and you can take us back to your earliest memories?
Okay. The kids always say that when I speak about my little village that they know that I liked it very much, the way I say it. Yes. Well, I was born in a little village in Bohemia. It was part at that time of Czechoslovakia. Now it's called the Czech Republic. There were about 80 houses and 300 people. The house I was born in, I was born there, my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother. My great-grandfather built the house around 1794 or so. It doesn't stand anymore, it fell down.
You have a picture of it, right?
Yes, I have a picture.
Okay, and because it looks like it has like a thatched roof?
No,
it was a log
slate
building?
Yes.
Okay.
And it fell down. And the funny part is you're asking me about that. I found out that they sold the land to someone. So I phoned the village, the office there, and I said to the lady, you sold something which doesn't belong to you because it belongs to me. Mm-hmm. And I feel very sorry for the man who bought the land because he built a very nice villa on it, because whenever I go to Prague, I go and visit some distant relatives who live in the little town next to it, and I always go and see my village. And I saw that he built this nice little villa there. So I said, I really feel sorry for him because it never will belong to him. He built something, you sold it to him, but you had no right to sell it because I have proof. I have from the office, where they have registered the land and all that. It says it belonged to my mother. Mm-hmm. So I said, I have children and grandchildren. They have the right to that piece of land. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She says, oh, we don't know that. I said, besides that, they didn't charge hardly anything. It was a gift. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, I'm going to stop here. I noticed from this morning that you like short clips, so this was the clip moment. So so this is an example of an interview session. Again, we can create session thumbnail. Right there, you have that option. We can duplicate this session, edit the session, delete it, or create clips in this session. So again, many different options. But here you notice that there's no interviewee biographical information, so it hasn't been entered. But there are session notes. For each clip, clip 1, she talks about the village life. Clip 2, a story about Rokitsani. So they already worked on this interview. They did some clips. We have a total, I think, of 6 clips. You see them here. And I'll just show you how to enter those clips. But for this session, we already have a summary. Again, this is the space where they enter the summary of the session in total. The location, Montreal. We have a Google Maps button, but this is the next phase also of Stories Matter. We want to be able to Google it and geolocalize it. And so this is going to be another, the date of the session. So this is where it should be entered. Language, original medium, AVI. Oh, about the medium. So for audio, it's MP3 that are used in Stories Matter. For video, it's FLV that we use. That's compatible with this software. People who interview with the AVI, who use AVI format, the software does the conversion itself. It takes some time, you have to be patient, but it works. So this is something that we were able to solve with this comma-separated tags, so Jewish, Czech Republic, Education Working Group. Oh yes, she was in the Education Working Group and not the Holocaust Working Group, yeah. Education Working Group, female, docent, elderly. So these are the different tag terms that we used. And we had a list also of tag terms, so that we don't just use any. So, but the challenge was how many, well, because depending on the working group, it was not the same words that were used. So each working group had a list of tag terms that came.
Yeah, so we have a core list that was project-wide, so you're mapping commonality, and then we had specific tag terms for each working group, therefore you're able to deal with difference between the historical and geographic, right?
And are these terms,
I'll repeat that.
how do they relate to metadata from like records for libraries and that sort of thing?
This is Dublin core.
It is
terms,
Dublin?
yeah, but these are just tag terms, right?
Yeah.
Dublin core deals with being able to export, right? Being able to then export and move the data elsewhere.
So I was asked to repeat what I just said. Okay, so we had a list for the project overall. We had a list of tag terms that we selected, and for each working group, they also had their own list that was specific to the working group. So we were able to work with both lists. Okay, so we saw how to create the new session editor. This is where we enter our media. So this, you have a window that looks like this when you enter a media. This is where you go and select the video clip or the audio clip that you'd like to use. MP3, FLV, like I mentioned. AVI files, it's converted. Yes?
And why MP3 as opposed to WAV files? Is it the size? Or?
I don't know if it's the size, but I think we had some waves, and for some reason it didn't work, so we opted for MP3s, yeah, and most of our, and it's more common, I think, than wave MP3s.
All the time, but it only deals with certain, that's one of the issues, right? Is getting the audio or video into the system, and that's one of the gridlocks, right? Because people are recording all kinds of different file formats. And so if you know your technological choice, for those who are using Storage Matter, it makes sense to know what the file format is in advance, and therefore record, maybe not with API, you don't want to compress right from the beginning, but you have to factor that in, because it is an issue for us, right? Like certainly converting, you do it overnight, right? We'd be converting overnight all the time to get all the video. And video is more problematic than that.
Because isn't like the WAV the archival standard for
Yeah.
sound?
No, our audio, our initial, we didn't do audio, right? But we, our recorders use WAV, right? So they are WAV and they're being converted,
I
right?
see.
And same as FLV is what YouTube is, right? So it's just really compressed that way it can sort of deal with loads of data.
Yes. And yeah, so we just went through the different session level spaces. Session notes, interviewee and interviewer. So this is where we enter also the information about who interviewed, who was interviewed, any reflection, meta-narrative. Again, we saw that in the interview level, but the session level, you have even more spaces. The transcript of the interview also can be entered here. Whether it's copy-pasted, this is a place to enter it. The reflection, meta-narratives, and attachments. Yes, we also added a space with attachments. For example, if there's a picture or that they give us, we can scan it and attach it there. Yeah. So as the software developed, we added some things that were missing. We're like, okay, maybe this is good. So it's always, a work in progress. So the latest version we have is this one here, and it has all those changes that were done. So creating a clip. So where this is even more precise, more. So once we have our session, like for example the listlet session, we can create clips. So what we will do a test. So we already have 6 clips that were created. And basically, to create a clip, it's really to go through the interview and choose that part that you're interested in. And in order to do that, you have those 2 buttons. It's the in and the out of the clip. So you can go through the interview. Let's say you can scroll, you can go. And let's say, oh, this is where my clip should start. So I'll put the in button here. And I say, okay, I want just a short clip. So I stop it here and I put the out button. So this is my clip. I have the in and out, and there's the button at the bottom here, create clip. So when I click on it, I already have my start time and my end time because I did it manually. And I give it a name. So clip, so we have 6, so I'm going to say clip 7. Description of clip 7. And again, I have all my tag terms. This is where I can enter it. If I can also enter the in and out manually, if I know exactly, where to start, I can enter it here, just to be more precise. So you really have those 2 options. And then when I put save clip, it should be added at the bottom. Let's see. I have even more. So I have my clip and somebody else's clip that I see here testing. This is good. So that means you're following. Perfect. So yeah. So this is a way of, don't worry, at the end I'll delete. So it's all good. First test, yeah. So I can create as many clips as possible. So one session can have 10, can have 20, can have, depending on what you're focusing on. I can delete the clip, I can edit it, so change if I need to change. I create a clip thumbnail again, like they did actually in the list. All the first clips have it. We have the logo. So when you don't have images, you have the old logo, the Stories Matters logo by default. So yeah. Again, reflection, meta-narrative. So if I click on, let's see, if I double click on clip 7, this is the one I created, I think, clip 7. If I play it, this is going to be the one I cut, let's see. I can add my reflection here, meta-narrative. Yeah. So we're getting even more and more precise in our clip name, clip description, start time, tag cloud. So all this time we've entered an interviewee session, we enter tag terms. Session, interviewee level, session level, clip level. So at the end we have a tag cloud that looks like this. So every time we enter the comma separated tags, they find themselves here in this section. And if we want to watch the tag clouds, so it should be right next to the clip. So for Lizelot, we had many clips. If we go on tag clouds, you have this list. And you see that some words are really written in very small, and some are really, really big letters. For example, displacement. You see that displacement has been used much more than public remembering, for example, which is really tiny. So yeah, so you see that all the tag term that we were talking about, whether it's an overall project or specific to each working group. I see Tutsi, so I imagine it's for the Rwandan working group. And yeah, so it's all all here. So if I click on, let's say I click on displacement. So I have, so it searches the database and it gives you all the places where displacement has been used. So at project level, no results. That means displacement was not used at the first level, because the first level is this title, the project title. Huh? Interviewee level, just only names, so or a description. It hasn't been used there. But then it's at the session level that it has been used. So. Oscar de Gassana, I did an interview with my father, so he mentioned it at some point. So many random interviews. Well, since we don't have the other working groups, so we're limited with what we have here in this stage. So the clip level also, we have a lot of displacement. Or you see that displacement has a slash too. Huh? So it's displacement slash déplacement. So even the slash, he tells you where the slash has been used in the project. So it's really precise. Déplacement here. So basically it helps you locate where it has been used. And you also have the option to filter. So on the right side you have project that is clicked. So if you want to see more precisely in the project names, you can click, and just having a way of filtering it. So this is where you can do it. Mm-hmm. Yes. Childhood memories, souvenirs d'enfance, same thing. So our project was bilingual. This is why all the tag terms are bilingual, but you can always adapt it. Making a playlist. Now that we have all those different clips of different sessions, let's say when we find ourselves with 10 interviews, for example, you can do a playlist of different clips from different interviews. Well, so this is a way of, let's say, if you're working on a specific theme, whether it's exile, or you can have a playlist called Exile, for example, and then you can, find all the different clips that are talking about it. So we'll see how to do a playlist. So we have to go back to the home, so the project. And right next to project, you have a button called playlist. So here for Lizelot, I think we have a playlist called Village Life. So I'm just going to click on it. And the playlist could be found. Please edit clips. Okay. But we have clips. So we have all the clips from Lizelot. And then we have a timeline. This is where basically I'm going to put all my clips one after the other. And it has to do with village life. So I'll look. For this case, we have only one interview. But we can do it with many interviews as well. So the first step is to press on the plus button. That allows you to have the first container where you're going to put your first clip. So as soon as I press plus, I have this container that appears. And let's say I want to do a playlist of all the different clips that we created here today. So, and it tells you exactly what to do. I put my mouse on the container, say click this container and select a clip from the list. So I'm just going to click on the container once, and I'm going to select my clip. So this would be the first clip of my playlist. If I want another one, I'll press the plus button and I'll do the same thing. Click once and I'll go and look for somebody created clip. Click on this container. Clip 710 test. And same thing, I can create a third one. And I'll click, there you go. So you have a short playlist 3 clips. Let's imagine they all go together. They have a specific theme in common. And this is where I have my playlist. Huh? I can save it. Well, I can clear it, but I can save it. So let's say I want to save this 3 clips. Oh, it has been saved already. Oh. Okay. I can edit it. Let's say, oh, I forgot one. I would like to add one more. This is where I could do it. Or I could delete it and say, okay. But when I play the button here, it's going to play the clips one after the other. I think there's a half a second between, but it plays it like a continuous way.
Start at the beginning or when you came to Canada.
So it's really the beginning of the clip. Okay. So we have clips. So this is exactly what we did. Container, you save the playlist. You can actually save it onto your computer and have a playlist, not logo, but as soon as you save it, it goes on your desktop and you can actually use it for presentation, for example, PowerPoint presentations, have a little link on it. Exactly. So for PC users, they have the option, Mac doesn't have it, of exporting a clip or playlist to their desktop for easy integration to PowerPoint. To do so, users should select the desired clip from the clip list by clicking on it once, and then select Export Clip. So we'll see the export options that are on Stories Matter. And a folder called Stories Matter will be created on the desktop, and within it will be the clip or the playlist in AVI format. So this is where you have that option, Export Clip. This is again another option that we added afterwards. In the beginning, there was no way to export it, but then we're like, oh, we should use it. It should be useful for presentations, and again, you can duplicate a project, duplicate an interviewee, duplicate a session, or a clip. So this also is new. It was not there at the beginning, but it's all something that apparently people thought would be useful. Huh? And you can rename the session. So if you duplicate it, you'll give it a new name, whether it's test1/copy or interview1 copy, etc. Yes.
Not for Mac users.
Yeah. No, the exporting. The exporting is only PCs. Yeah. So this would be maybe the next version. Yeah.
Had it at one point, but it's back to a new version that kicked this off.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You always have to think PC and Mac so that compatible and. Relocating an interviewee, a session or a clip. This also is a new feature that we added. Sometimes you would like to change the location of the interview and put it in another project or a session, and you can really play with that. And it's not a fixed, but in order to do that, you have to edit the clip. And when you edit it, you have the option to change the project in which it's going to appear. So the online version, we're already online. So this is a way of showing you how to do it, login, password. And of course, you need a server. To work online without a server, it's not going to be possible. But as long as you work on your own project, you don't need to be online. It's really pretty, you can work with your own interviews. But as soon as you're working with someone else, I was telling Claire, for example, if she wants to work with her colleague and work on interviews, her colleagues work on another interview, and they can merge it on a server and have everything at the same location. Okay, so the merge tool I was talking about. So when we work online, You can merge elements of their local database, so local meaning your own computer, to the server. But to do that, you have to access the merge tool. And if you see on top, right next to home, you have a little search engine. And next to it, you have the export data. So this is pretty much where you have all the different export option, import option, export to HTML, so people who are familiar with websites, and you can export it there. Export files, create a backup of your local database in a specified directory. This allows you to do that. Import files as well. This is another option that is possible with this tool. And the merge tool. Synchronize your local database with the online database of the remote server. So let's say if I click on merge tool, so I have a window that looks like this. And basically what it's telling me is that this on the left side is my computer. It's what's on this computer here. And on the right side, it's what's on the online database. So this is all the interviews that we've entered, the Rwandan working group interviews. And the only thing that's highlighted on my computer is the project 1, the test that we created here. Interview 1. Let's see if I go under, yeah. So basically it's gray because it doesn't appear on my computer. And here on the online database, you see it in dark because it's there. So you have different option of merging. So you can merge the whole project, but you can also merge only what we call the children. So whether it's an interviewee, a session, or clip. So you have the option to merge exactly what you want. You don't have to merge the whole thing. So again, what's in green, it's upload to the offline version, and what's in pink, it's download to the online version. So you have all these possibilities: global merge, merge children only, custom merge. Yeah, so you can really select exactly what you want to merge. Interviewee section, interview section, reflection, meta-narrative, notes. So yeah, it's really custom. Yeah. Merging online and offline database again. Okay, so I was telling you that the website where you can download Stories Matter is this website. So you can write it down, or it's on Concordia's Center for Oral History website, and you have a section where you have all the different tools, and you have a link for Stories Matter, and this is where you can download it. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's pretty, and you always have the latest version because we keep on, upgrading it and working on it. So you have the latest version all the time. Okay, so I don't know if you want a short break or you want us to finish. Yeah, we finish? Okay. Okay, so the other thing I was supposed to talk about here, on top of Stories Matter, was the next phase of Stories Matter, because it's not the end. It's really something that's constantly evolving, and this next phase is basically a prototype that we're working on right now. It's called Curating Testimonies. So basically, Stories Matter, like Stephen said this morning, it's like a hub. So from Stories Matter, we want different tools that can be compatible with it. So we talked about geomapping, GPS, and now the next phase is curating testimonies. So we've been we've partnered with Western Ontario University, and based on Stories Matter, they started with using Stories Matter to create a clock-based key phrase map. And there's a short video tutorial that they created that gives you a bit of an idea of what it is. I'm going to refresh it.
The clock-based key phrase map contains 3 parts. You can select your entities on the left panel. And the clock-based key phrase map is in the middle. You can zoom in, out, pan the map. The list on the right-hand panel contains all the key phrases extracted by computer algorithms. The color labeled, which means they're from different sources like text, summaries, reflection. You can select different entities, interview sessions, and the clock will be updated accordingly. Highlighting is a very important feature to emphasize the interesting information. You can move your mouse over interview session and all its key phrases will be highlighted. Likewise, you can move your mouse over key phrase node on the map and all the interview sessions that contains these key phrases will be highlighted. Also, if you have certain key phrases in mind, you can choose it on the key phrase list on the map. And the selected key phrases will be highlighted on the map. Searching is another important feature for retrieving desired information. User can type key phrase in the searching bar and all relevant key phrases on the map will be highlighted. You can also navigate to the context or details of a specific key phrase. You can double-click the word concentrate map. This detailed panel will be popped up. Then you can choose a source video, its source video or context. User can also annotate the key phrase in Node. Annotation is shared within the Stories Matter research groups. The annotated node will be highlighted with a black circle.
Okay. So that gives us a little bit of an idea of what curating testimonies look like, will look like. And you can see that it looks, even the interface looks a lot like Stories Matter. So really they got their inspiration from there. And they said, okay, how can we make it even more visual and make it more interactive? So basically it created different pathways into oral history interviews so that people can engage with it in various ways. So basically curating testimonies, so what it is, a visualization tool. So it combines text mining and human tagging approaches to identify and present similarities among interview content. It allows the researchers also to play the interview section that is related to an identified topic. It enables the researcher to annotate the interviews and share their annotation within the research community. So basically there are 3 main components, so data source management, automatical key phrase extraction, and key phrase map visualization. So the nodes localization, so we had the little dots that are really basically essential in this tool. So each visual entity on the clock acts like an anchor point determining the position of all the nodes. And the main functionalities, like they said in the clip, highlighting, so basically making the most important themes be highlighted. Zooming and panning, again, you can really play with this. And the structure, the clock-based helps you to do that. Filtering and reconfiguring, so you can really select which interviews you'd like to see on the clock. You don't have to use all of them. And basically you can, adapt it, and context navigation and collaborative annotation and feedback. So again, this is, even it pushes the limit of Stories Matter and makes it even more user-friendly and collaborative. So how do we visualize this tool for the Rwandan community? Because in the Life Stories project, we conducted about 85 interviews during those 5 years. And so we want to keep working on that. We don't want this to end after the project and then that's it. So this tool will help us, for example, for our commemoration activities, because every year in April we have many events related to the commemoration. So this platform can be a place where we can gather all the information, all the interviews, all the conference clips, because we videotape everything. But again, all the videotapes, all the material stays at the documentation center. We mentioned that we have a documentation center now. So people don't really have access to it. So this tool can help us, really centralize everything. So conferences, for example, we had one this year for the 20th commemoration, and we have many videos from that. We can enter it there and have, like, for example, the main project would be commemoration, and under that we can have conferences, we can have, so we have vigils, marches, so we can take pictures of that and enter it there also. We did a first collaboration with other survivor community, so the Armenian community, the Cambodian community, the Jewish community. We work together on various projects. So every footage that we have, we could put it there under a specific section. In April, the radio station, TVs, and newspaper contact us to talk about the commemoration. We can store all those interviews and articles there, We're planning on creating an interactive, interactive monument to pay tribute to the victims of the genocide. So this also could be, we want people to give us names and pictures of people who passed away during the genocide, and find a way to have an interaction. For example, if I go on that website, I can also add another person that I know from that region that passed away during and make connections, among the victims. We can have interview clips where people talk about the victims, and so another way to pay tribute, basically. So this is our next big project. Educational tools, especially for the youth. So the youth tend to, they come to the commemoration, but not as much as we would like them to come. So we think all those, technological tools can make them come and maybe use that on their phones and other applications. So so this is a timeline that we created in one of our activities in 2010. Can also be stored there. And finally, a thematic book that we wanted to create out of the Montreal Life Stories project. So we have so many projects that we can't do all, but the next step would be to have a book, like a thematic book. So all the themes can be also used, we can choose the theme based on that tool. So if we see that there's a theme that comes in many interviews, we can say, okay, this theme has to be in the book, and we can start from there. So the possibilities are tremendous, are many, and so this is where we're heading, and I hope we'll do some of the things that we want to do. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Yes.
Have you launched it, Sandra, in Uganda?
Launched the Stories Matter?
Do you have
So we contacted two organizations, the CNLG, I don't know, Commission Nationale for Lutte contre le Génocide. So they know what we've been doing here from the Montreal Life Stories Project. They actually gave us a lot of interviews and films and DVDs from their collection to the documentation center. So we're in contact, but we haven't been working together yet. So I hope in the future.
Government?
Well, yes, they have much of the funding from the government, yes, CNLG. And also we met with the Kigali Memorial, the Kigali Genocide Memorial Center. They know what we did. They're really impressed by the project. But again, we wanted to have a memorandum of understanding and have really a tight collaboration. But since the project ended in 2012, yeah, we didn't, push that. But hopefully, yeah, we would like to have more connections.
Their interviews are the ones that they've made accessible directly. You can take
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
They've got lots more, but
And now that we have a documentation center, we have a place, where to have that. But yeah, this is some of the things we'd like to accomplish. Yes.
Thank you very much. It's really helpful. I'd heard about the software, but I hadn't actually seen it. So it's really great.
Good.
I'm wondering, could you talk about, or maybe just speak into how does this system similar to or different from the one that Claire was talking about that's being developed at the University of Kentucky?
I missed your presentation. Sorry, I was here, but
I can say that in a minute. With the Stories Matter, is that OMS is about connecting very directly a moment in the interview and a moment in the transcript, and making you, allowing you to move through both at the same time. And so as you read the transcript, you can continually bring the audio up to date. So sort of having them be separate, and then you moving through to them either exclusively or each of them separately. And so it's really trying to create a platform where they're inextricable from each other. And that I didn't see that. I think what Stories Matter is doing that is like a different kind of capability. Like the OMS, as far as I understand, it can't do anything with the easy clip producing stuff. So I think they do. It's both like they do different things.
I think that the U.S. project is very much for keyword search, right? So you're basically using the transcript as your search engine too. And so you'll be able to then it's tethering the two, but it's also allowing you to then find things, right? Whereas here, it's not transcription driven maybe, although you do tether the transcription, like the parts of the transcription to the clip, so you can find the clips in the same way that you do with the other one. But this is sort of more using tag terms, and this is a research. I guess maybe this is a research tool, right? And even like this is not right now. It's you have to download the software. You can't just go online, right? I think we're looking at another version which would have a web application version of Stories Matter. Because in a way, this is really built for researchers, right? I can't see, or for communities who are really who are really using it deeply, right? I don't see a lot of people who are just browsing the internet, really confronted by that. Where do you go? What do you do? And I think what's also interesting is the clipping is really important because it's also mapping the narrative. And so we clip basically everything's clipped, right? For today we just took anything, but normally you clip the entire interview. There's no interview space that's not clipped, right? And so you're basically identifying either the story shifts or the question and answer, whatever interpretive way you want to do it. And so you're creating a mapping, and so you can then see like how, for question and answer is great. So you can say, oh wow, there's lots of questions, like short answers in the beginning, it gets longer afterwards. It's trust built, or maybe it's the opposite if you're a Holocaust survivor. And so you can do narrative analysis that's beyond the transcript, which in a way transcription is like you're in it. It's good on language, like you're really in the words. Whereas I find when my students, they have a transcribing interview, they have a database interview, it's like rolling back a bit, you're sort of seeing things different, you're listening differently, right? And so on our website, we've got a master's thesis it's a thesis all about subjective listening in the context of databases, and how even databasing building is a subjective listening exercise. Right? It's not objective, it's subjective, right? And so building in reflexivity into whatever system you're using is really, really crucial.
It's really nice that you have those moments for reflection and meta-narrative built right into the database. I've never seen it before.
So all of our interviewer reflections are there, and all, so that way you're also bringing different sources into one place instead of having them separate, right?
Yeah.
So the way to bring things in a way that, one of my concerns about archiving is that we just archive the interviews. You don't, everything else is separate. You don't go to those things. Whereas this is trying to, I think more and more as we move forward, try to bring things in and put them into conversation. So it's actually in the end, it's not even about transcription versus databases. It's actually, this is very textual, right? And so it's about bringing these things together.
I might have missed this when I stepped out, but when you export it, what does it export as?
So it depends. When you export files or you want to...
Say you want to move the entire person's, everything for one person off of the story matters and some kind of...
So yeah, so it creates a directory actually, where with all the content in it. Yeah, so it creates like a folder on your desktop, and when you click on it, you have all the different information. Yeah, and actually the important thing, yeah, it reminds me. There's a way. Okay, I want to close it. Are you sure you're gonna? Yes. Okay. 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 Now it's not responding. That question mark that you have here, it gives you all this information about Stories Matter. Huh? So the different phases that we went through. But at the bottom, you have the manual. It can copy the Stories Matter manual on your desktop with all the information. The video conversion manual also, when you have to convert from AVI to FLV. So you also have, all this information there that can also help you with these questions about exporting.
Maybe to show them the user preferences, like it's in English, Spanish, French, and Dutch.
Yes.
But also, when you organize it, it's big issues of access, right? Who gets access? Who can do what, right? You don't want everyone to be able to delete projects, right? And so you have clear sort of organization in terms of how and who gets how much access, right? What's I going to say about that? Because security is a huge issue, right? And now also allows maybe differential access, like certain interviews being accessible to you and other ones not, right? So like Makrudu a little bit, but you want to expand that side of things.
Like for example, Phil, who just left, he gave us access to the Stories Matter workshop with Liz Ludd-Ivry. But for example, for the Rwandan working group interviews, that is also the second project that is here, he didn't give us access to do anything, just to watch, to see what it is. We can't create new sessions, we can't create new clips. So you can always have, a tailored, because it says we are dealing with so much important issues. And here basically it gives you permission C to create. When you see C, it's to create, E, edit, or D, delete. So it gives you, so for Stories Matter training workshop, he clicked on yes for everything. So that's why we were able to play with it. But Histoire de Vie Montréal, the Rwandan working group, nothing is clicked. That's why we're not able.
The ways in which this software dovetails with or doesn't some of these kind of online access exhibition in a box kind of platforms like Omeka, or even the more complicated ones like Fedora and Islandora. I'm just learning about all this, so I'm just curious about how they all work together.
The Stories Matter website. I think, again, they're all coming from different places, right? Either different disciplines or for different purposes, right? Whether it's library, cataloging, sort of coming almost like top down, and so they're trying to get down into the, into the micro, right? Beyond just identifying the objects. And then in a way, this is working upwards, right?
Yep.
Which is, it's great for, say, a grad student working with deep listening on a select number of interviews. But a library, a big library, this is not that useful, I don't think, as it stands, right? So certainly in terms of who's adopting it, who's been adopting it for the last 5 or 6 years, it's mainly sort of small projects, grad students, projects up to about, I don't know, 500 or 600 hours of recording, I'd say the maximum. And anything bigger, people go for probably library or content DM kinds of, or
But they can't do this.
no, I know.
This is the
But
thing, I mean, so-
they're not thinking in terms of a research project, I don't think, right? And anyways, but on this website, you've got a variety of tutorials, you've got a variety of publications. So we have 2 articles that were published on our process, so thinking about our choices and so on.
Yeah.
We had an article published in Digital Studies and an article published in Forum. We blogged, when we developed the software, we blogged every 2 weeks. So we had oral historians in bed with the programmer. And it was actually, really like trench warfare for a year, because it's very different culturally and so on. But again, software is hard because, will stories matter and be around in 5 years? Who knows, right?
Well, so that's the thing, and all these projects that you're describing, where are they being archived long term, unless they're talking to the librarian? So that's the part of it that because I could do this for my project, but 10 years from now, when my research agenda's moved on to something else, I don't want this to language. I guess I'm worried about sustainability issues.
I think that's true of almost any software, right now. And proprietary software promises you stability. The funding sort of formula attached to it. That's if you go to NVivo for anthropology, you pay the money to get access and to get the software. Or to use their online servers, with the expectation that it'll be there, you won't lose it, right? Whereas with open source, the key is to have clusters of tools, right, to get the critical mass. So the key is, like, for Stories Matter, to be able to connect with Kentucky, right, to connect with George Mason, and what they're doing in terms of Omeka and so on. All these tools have to connect, or else they're all vulnerable, right? Because funding is always going to be a challenge. And the source community or the user community has a lot of pressure to put them on a long term in terms of development, right?
So how does Stories Matter connect with, say, Island or Omeka?
Right now they don't. Right now they do in the sense that you use Dublin Core and you can export, but it takes a heck of a lot of work, and so it's not lost. You have to have almost a grant in order to rebuild it in a new space, right? Which is true the other way too, right? So, I've been pushing SHRC to put money into tool connector grants, right?
Was it crosswalk?
Yeah. No, I think it's crazy that these are all like not speaking to each other. But for our purposes, again, we've been using it in the classrooms. So all of our students are using it. All of our students are databasing. They're doing it for dissertations, right? We have, in Quebec, we've got Arts Canada, the
Quebec
Museum
Héritage.
in Montreal uses it. The heritage organizations are using it. So we have critical mass in Quebec, right? But in the United States, it's like, unless your grad students are just, using it, it doesn't have a high profile, right?
Yeah. But if there is programming money, then you can basically bring it into.
So we have a grant from like a group of researchers at Dawson College. These are like junior college. They're using it in their classrooms too, and they want to add some features to actually have collaborative, make it more of a teaching tool, right? And so they got a grant in order to add these features. So because it's open source, go crazy, right? And that's the same. We're working with Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. and they're library people, and they're really interested in the web application. We're working with the Museum of London. They have this thing called Street Museum, which is like Cleveland Historical. So you go around the city, and basically it's a phone app that pushes historical content onto your cell phone, right? Wouldn't that be great to connect that kind of sort of output to, I sort of see this as sort of a back end more than a front end. But but it's all up in the air, and who knows what's going to happen. So there's risk everywhere, right? But there's risk in transcribing too, right? Like in the sense that it's, this upfront cost, right? And then what do you do with that?
Well, you have a bunch of transcripts that nobody reads, right?
There you go.
Okay, well, thanks. That's very
So basically, this is where you can download the software. So storytelling.concordia.ca, stories matter. And then you have on the right side, download. And then this is where you install it on your computer. You have this install now button. And then it's, pretty fast. And
But the server is harder. Like you want to put it on your own server, you need like real tech support.
yeah, for sure.
This is our server. We can't support your
Yeah. Any more questions? Yes. You're welcome. Thank you.